It's Kasey Kahne, a NASCAR Busch Series winner for the first time. He takes the Ford 300.
And then Kahne got to the bottom. Kahne comes to the bottom. He gets the run. He's got a good run on him. Side by side of the line.
When he talk about his first win, at least the good thing is I got the honor of being the guy that they mentioned that he had to race for the win.
And trying to improve his status in the chase for the championship, Kasey Kahne sweeps at Charlotte.
He had been cutting it.
Oh,
big.
Kasey Kahne gets turned around. Kasey Kahne wins.
The 13th career win for Kasey Kahne.
The checkered flag at Pocono today. Kasey Kahne.
February 23rd, 2002, Rockingham Speedway. 43 stock cars line up on the grid for the Busch Series 1866 RBCterm.com 200. And on that grid, starting 20th in the 98 for Robert Yates Racing, is the 2000 USAC Midget Series champion, Kasey Kahne, making his first start in NASCAR.
These guys are anxious, and there goes Jeff Green. Down in the first turn he goes. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
For the majority of the race, he'd hang around that 20th position, even making his way up to 13th with 67 laps to go. With 61 to go, he was still top 20, running 17th. But by the time the ticker scrolled by again with 58 to go, he was 29th. Whatever happened in the 98 wasn't shown on the broadcast, but Kasey would end his NASCAR debut in 31st. The next few starts during his part-time season in the 98 could have gone better, only managing to finish inside the top 21 in 2 of his 8 starts. He tended to run in the 20s but could never get the finish to show for it. After taking flight at Daytona though, the next 12 starts he would only finish outside the top 21 3 times and even managed to get the first top 10 of his career at Michigan. He did DNQ the Bristol race right after, but we don't have to talk about that. Overall, he finished his 20 starts with a 22.9 average finish. If he were running full-time, that'd place him somewhere around 18th in points. Being a rookie coming from dirt racing and the Yates 98 being a brand new team, that's not bad at all. For the following season, Kahne hopped over to another Ford team as Yates shut down their Busch Series program for a while, ending up in the 38 car for Atkins Motorsports, a team with only one win to their name, and began his first full-time campaign. It started off with a bang as Kasey scored his second career top 10 in the very first race, and through the next 5 races would finish top 15 4 times, adding on 2 additional top 10s. A crash at Talladega dampened the momentum for a bit, but the 38 team came back swinging with Kasey's first ever top 5 at Fontana. Inconsistency, however, marred the team as they couldn't keep that up for more than a couple races in a row, until just after mid-season it finally clicked and they strung together 8 top 15s in a row, including Kasey's first pole at Michigan, and his best shot to win. Kasey fired off hot and easily led the first lap, but by the end of the second it was clear Tony Stewart had the car to beat. Kasey wasn't falling back though, and kept his car solidly in the top 3. When the first pit cycle came around, he was one of the first on pit road. And then, caution, at the exact wrong time. Kasey would be a lap down. Except, Stewart had been backing off to save on the long run, and that just barely allowed Kahne to be on the tail end of the lead lap. He wasn't out of this yet. Restarting 21st on lap 51, he had the slow, brutal climb ahead of him to get back to the front. But the very same car that put him in this situation gave him a way out as the 39 wrecked again. And on the ensuing pit cycle, the 38's crew gave him the stop of a lifetime, launching him back up into the top 10. With 35 laps to go, Kasey had clawed his way back up into the top 5, and was flying towards the leader. The problem was, he still had to pit, along with the rest of the cars running up front. However, in true Michigan fashion, rain was on the horizon, and if it came fast enough, the race could be over before they ran out of gas. Slowly but surely, the leaders peeled off for pit road. Kenseth comes in, putting Kasey up to 3rd. Next comes in the dominant car of the day, Tony Stewart. Kasey's in 2nd. All he needs now is to outlast or pass the 21 of Kevin Harvick. As the laps tick by, it's clear the 21 isn't pitting. They're gambling just like the 38. Slowly, Kasey reels him in, and with 18 to go, he's right about to get bumper to bumper when
Race is under yellow with 17 laps to go.
he runs out of time. the rain comes crashing down, and Kasey Kahne will finish second for the first time in his career. After that race, Kasey was seeded 11th in points, and as the season drew to a close, he'd made his way up to 9th, and was ready to close it out with a bang. 6 cars compete for the championship at the newly reconfigured Homestead Miami Speedway, but we're focused on the man starting 3rd. Kasey fires off, but before anything can happen, and one of those 6 ends their day on lap 1. Green flag back out, and Kasey restarts. So Kasey spends the next stint working his way back up. By lap 18, he's up to 25th, and when the caution's called for debris, he's up to 21st. After the pit cycle, the team gambles on taking 2 tires to put Kasey right back where he started. He spends the next cycle solidly in the top 5, able to hold on easily even with older tires, and pits from 4th around lap 104. And then, here comes another caution that very nearly collected Kasey himself. Fortunately, the 46 of Ashton Lewis that brought it out was the leader at that time. So this time, Kasey wasn't at risk of losing a lap, and on the ensuing restart, Kasey found himself second. And only 6 laps into the run, Kasey makes his move, down to the inside of Jamie McMurray.
I'll tell you what, the last couple of months, Kasey Kahne has been very, very impressive in this 38 car.
With the very same car they brought to Michigan, Kasey Kahne fought with the one for 6 laps, getting side by side, falling back, side by side, falling back again. He just couldn't make the pass, and eventually fell back in line behind Jamie. After a couple more cautions, Kasey kept himself in the top 5, making sure that he was in the conversation for this win. The dominant car most of the day had been Jamie Mack, and Kasey has been the only one able to challenge him. This will be one hard battle for the 38 to get the win.
Oh, what's up with the 1 car? Has he got a flat?
Jamie McMurray off the pace, leading with 36 laps to go. He's headed for pit road.
Well. It's not over yet, though. He still has to face off with the guy that'll win the Cup Series championship the next day.
Smoke on fire, just lost one in the middle of the race and lost another one by bad wiring or something.
Oh, you see this?
One up in smoke, Scott Wimmer. Caution's out.
That was a lot that just happened at once. And from there on, Kasey took off and never looked back. Literally, his spotter Ray Evernham told him not to. And Kasey Kahne, after a full season of running near the front but never closing the deal, in the last shot he had for 2003, became a NASCAR Busch Series winner.
Kasey Kahne, your race winner today.
In a Ford?
In a Ford 300. The Ford 300. They'll be happy about that, won't they?
Works out pretty smooth.
It's awesome. You know, we've worked so hard to do this for 2 years now, and this Great Clips team's done an awesome job. And man, I just needed to get in the open.
So, his spotter for the last 2 races that was just mentioned, Ray Evernham. Turns out, the guy owns the Cup Series team, a team that had just won with Bill Elliott the week before Kasey just did. Elliott, however, is looking to retire, and Evernham is looking to see if Kasey is the right driver to fill the empty spot in his red number 9. The problem though, Evernham runs Dodges. Kasey is in a development contract with Ford, so he isn't allowed to swap over. At least not with that attitude! So it's announced that Kasey is driving the 9, and Ford is pretty miffed that their up-and-coming guy just left them, so they do the standard big conglomerate company thing and sue both Kasey and Ray. However, said contract that was being sued over stipulated that the manufacturer had to provide Kahne with a full-time ride on a Ford team that both of them agreed upon. If an agreement could not be met by either, then Kahne could get a ride with a different manufacturer. Ford lost the case. So, with Kasey's new ride set for 2004, it was time to surprise everyone. After Daytona, his engine blew up 42 laps in. But the race after, back at the track that started his NASCAR career, Kasey qualified 3rd. And through the carnage that would befall the next 393 laps, Kasey kept his car solidly in the top 10. As the race wound down, it was clear the battle for the win would be between the very same drivers that duked it out the race Kasey got his first Busch win. Jamie Mack, Matt Kenseth, and Kasey himself, now in the Cup Series. During the last pit stop cycle, however, Robbie Gordon pulled a Robbie Gordon as Kasey and Matt were taking their last stops. Once again, Kasey was at risk of being a lap down in a race he was trying to win because of a caution, but NASCAR allowed both of them to wave around and inadvertently put them ahead of Jamie Mack for the restart. The 42's crew was pissed off, but no matter how much they complained to the officials, their minds were made up. All three lined up nose to tail for their final battle, with only 6 other lead lap cars behind them. And as the field rounded turn 4, Kenseth would take the green flag at the Rock one last time. Oh wait, wrong documentary. Taking the green, Kenseth shot ahead to a 2-second lead, leaving Kasey and McMurray having to scramble back up to the bumper of the 17 in only 25 laps. But they did it, catching Kenseth with only 8 to go. The three would be nose to tail trying anything to get by each other, but nothing worked and time was running out. 5 to go. 4, 3, 2, 1. No moves had been successful. Going into the last 2 turns, Kasey follows Matt high, then cuts sharply down low, giving himself a run that the DeWalt 17 couldn't possibly block, forcing himself side by side, coming to the line.
Kenseth! Told you to be a Moco finish.
But it's not enough. Kenseth nabs his 8th career win, while Kasey is left still looking for his first by only 0.01 seconds.
You know, we came close there. I knew I had, I thought I was a little better than him in the open, but when I was up, right up behind him, it was tough to get a good run on him, and it was close. So I tried to set him up down here, and it came as close as we could, but.
By the way, NASCAR had been considering cutting Rockingham off the schedule for a while before this, and they still did after this banger of a finish, leaving it rotting and abandoned, aside from a brief return in 2012 and 13, all the way up until 2025. But we'll get back to that about 3 parts later. The next race, Kasey ran it back with his first pole in only 3 starts, and finished second to Matt Kenseth again, although by a significantly bigger margin this time. With another podium the next week at Atlanta, Kasey was 4th in the standings and looking to be an underdog for the century, fighting for the title. But a 13th at Darlington and a crash at Bristol brought those hopes crashing back down to reality. But that be damned, Kasey was still fighting going into Texas, leading the most laps of the race, and despite more caution chicanery, Kasey was in second and closing fast to the leader Elliott Sadler. However, with the 38 blocking and Texas being a one-groove track, Kasey couldn't find a way by until it was too late.
Sadler had to lift for Sauter. Here comes Kahne. Sadler by half a car length.
In only 7 starts, Kasey had finished second 3 times, 2 of which being the 5th and 7th closest finishes in NASCAR's 50-year history at the time. An insane stat, but a painful one nonetheless. Over the next few races, Kasey wouldn't even be able to manage a single top 10. It looked like he would at Fontana, grabbing the pole, but he would end up running out of gas on the last lap. Going into race 13 at Dover, the team needed a good run.
Boogity, 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 boys, let's go racing!
Starting 12th wasn't lighting the world on fire, but after the 9 car looked more like the 95, flying through the car's one crash, seriously that was awesome, he found himself in the lead. With only 20 to go, Kasey was racing straight for the checkers, until Casey Mears in the 41's engine blew up. Seemingly unrelated to Kasey, right? Well, not exactly.
Pull away just a little bit from Tony Stewart, who fires it in
Kasey Kahne lost it. Oh, there's oil. There's oil on the racetrack.
Use my time. You got it.
Oil on the racetrack.
Mark, Tony Stewart gets by. I think Matt Kenseth may have went up and brushed the wall.
Oh my gosh. I've never brushed the wall there.
Yeah, look, lots of damage.
He's killed that right front of that car.
What an incredible turn of events.
All that smoke from Casey Mears.
Yeah, I saw the sheet metal damage. I said, well, it's a tire rub, but man, he was putting oil down.
How close can you come to your first win and not get it?
Tommy Baldwin is just, he has no idea what has happened here.
Oh, that poor kid.
Boy, Darrell, I'd rather finish second by a foot like he's done 3 times than have it end this way, for sure.
No, he's got to be heartbroken.
Racing is a cruel joke sometimes. But the only thing you can do is pick yourself up and move on to next week. After nearly winning again at Chicagoland before Tony Stewart pulled a Tony Stewart, even his crew was fed up with how much bullcrap they had to put up with. And Tony won, by the way. At this point, the 9 team was down to 14th in points, and after being as high as 4th, they looked like they might miss the newly implemented chase format entirely. But over the next 7 weeks, they hauled ass, putting together 5 top 10s, including yet another 2nd place on the season. Heading into the cutoff race at Richmond, they were sitting 9th and just needed to keep doing what they were doing.
Trouble in 2.
That will be Kasey Kahne. Just in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he spun.
Will it run? Will it run? Can he get it going? Come on. He's going to get lapped.
He's trying.
He's going to have to back up.
He's trying.
He's going to get lapped.
Oh, man.
24th tonight. Kasey, you're 12th. Not quite in tonight. What are the emotions?
We just didn't do good enough. Too many problems all night long. Just a pretty pathetic race car.
His teammate won this race too, which pushed him into the chase and Kasey out. You know what? F it. Let's just go destroy everybody for a race and do it in one of the coolest schemes of Kasey's career. The 9 started on the front row for race 32 at Charlotte and just flat out left the whole field in the dust. 207 of the 334 laps were led by the 9, and not even the powerhouses of Hendrick could do anything to stop him. Universe be damned, Kasey was going to win a race, and it was going to be tonight. Right here, right now.
He's going to get it. Trouble, turn 2. Oh my goodness, Kasey Kahne, the race leader, has hit the wall. Kasey Kahne has led 207 of 267 laps tonight. His car has crashed and stopped off of the turn 2 exit.
BP, his cousin Cole earlier said looked like something broke. Tommy asked him, tire or does something break? He says, tire.
It was fastest thing, best car I've ever drove in my life. And, it just happens. It wasn't our day. Again, I don't necessarily know why this happens, but you know, we'll keep trying. We're getting closer and closer. And I thought tonight was going to be the night, and it just didn't happen.
Well, that was pretty much that for 2004. Despite all that, Kasey did still finish 13th in points, a respectable position, and it was enough to earn him Rookie of the Year, ending the season with 13 top 5s, 14 top 10s, 4 poles, and 5 runner-ups, with a 16.7 average finish. Alright, new season, 36 new chances. Let's see how this goes.
Caution is out. Kahne has tagged the wall and hard.
Motherfuck! After 2 crashes to start out the season, Kasey was 38th in points. However, there is still 33 races left in the season. He's got time to climb out of that hole.
Kasey Kahne has crashed hard coming out of turn 4.
Despite all that was going wrong, he was still getting in a good finish here and there. 5th at Atlanta, 2nd at Martinsville, and a pole at Darlington with a 3rd place finish. There was some momentum to be had here, and that would carry over into Richmond. Kasey went back-to-back with his 2nd pole in a row, but starting right behind the 9 was the guy that barreled through him last year, and his biggest competition for this race, Tony Stewart, who just like Michigan 2003 would steal the lead away on only the 2nd lap. However, unlike back then, Kasey was more experienced, more ready, and he wasn't going to let Tony run away this time. Even as lap traffic happened and Kasey fell to 4th, all 4 leaders were running nose to tail with no one getting the upper hand. And then, cue a caution. The 9 crew got Kasey ahead of Curtin Harvick to put him back in the familiar spot of 2nd. This time though, Tony would get out to a comfortable lead. His car was looking better on the short runs. If this race went on with few cautions, the 20 car would slow and it would be the perfect time for Kasey to strike.
Uh-oh, got a car around on the back straightaway.
Damn it. Alright, let's try this again. And soon enough, Kasey dives to the inside of Tony, slides right up in front of his bumper, and for the first time at 90 laps, the 9 was back to the lead. And while Tony fought the 97 of Kurt Busch for 2nd, Kasey scooted away. By lap 126, the sky had darkened and the caution lights were ablaze again. Another round of pit stops were in order and the 9's pit crew were once again flying. He stayed out front easily. But with Kasey's gap erased, Kurt Busch took one hard move underneath and got side by side before they even left turn 2. Tony was soon to follow and both the 97 and 20 got by the 9. And a lap later, it was Tony taking back his lead. Tony and Kurt kept battling it out. And eventually, as Kurt passed for the lead, that allowed Kasey to take his shot back into second and set his sight on first.
And Rusty goes around.
And I'm going to tell you, Michael
The 9 crew performed flawlessly again to put Kasey back to the lead. But, could he hold it this time? Nope, but that's fine. Tony's car will fade in due time, and Kasey will sail by. The race just needs to go green. Don't you dare! Okay, we're good. It actually does run green, and slowly but surely Kasey reels Tony in as the 20 car does indeed start to fade faster and faster. And soon enough, Kasey flies by, and Tony's left in the dust. But once again, Kasey came up on lap traffic, and with a 22 and 25 side by side, it was only a matter of time before Tony and Kurt caught back up, and eventually, both got by him. But you know, it's been a bit since Tony got one of those cautions he needs to keep his car competitive. How about one, eh?
Push the engine down.
Whoa, Stewart around! He gets away and there is no...
Guess what? Kasey wins it off pit road, and as the field gets ready to go green, Kurt Busch comes back down pit road with a lug nut jammed in the right front. They get it fixed, but not before the 9 takes the green, and the 97 goes a lap down. And as the field gets going once more, this time Kasey's able to hold off Tony on the restart and keep the lead. As the laps tick by, however, Kasey catches up to the same 2 lappers that held him up before, and once again, Tony finds a way by. But when said lap traffic clears, Kasey's back to the lead. Though this whole night has had over 20 lead changes so far, and with 100 laps to go and more lappers ahead, Kasey's gonna end up losing this lead again. It's happened every single time. But he doesn't. For the next 106 laps, Kasey will not let this lead slip away from him. Not again. Not even through 2 more cautions, 2 more restarts. When Kasey has been past the most tonight, Tony had nothing for him. This was his night. After 6 runner-up finishes, many times when his win was outright taken, and 994 laps led, at last, one of them was the one he needed. Finally! Kasey Kahne will be a NASCAR Cup Series winner!